Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Silver Years. My name is DK, and I'm very happy to be here, and I humbly thank you for joining me today. As a reminder, the stories and anecdotes I share with you on this channel are here for your entertainment and consideration. Please take from them what helps you, what resonates with you, and discard the rest. If there's something I share that can support your personal growth and spiritual expansion, your sense of self and personal value, then it's all good. All right, continuing on with the generational inheritance theme of my last two videos, today I'd like to touch on an interesting component of that inheritance, a very important component, really. This is an aspect that touches each and every one of us, but isn't really talked about a whole lot unless it's being used to divide people against each other, which is not my intention here. Some would consider this component their birthright. Some consider it a family or cultural tradition, perhaps, and some are prepared to fight vigorously to defend it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about our belief systems. So let me begin this with a couple of questions. Questions that I have asked myself during soul searching, questions that changed the trajectory of my life in ways I never imagined. And those questions are, why do I believe what I believe? And where did my beliefs come from? And like all things generational, this aspect, while extremely multi-layered, tends to be imprinted upon us through genetic frequencies and then is reinforced throughout our lives with family patterns, traditions, cultural influences, and by the society we live in. A little disclaimer here. Please know that this video is not meant to trigger or judge anyone or their belief systems in any way. This video is not about what we believe. That is for each of us to decide for ourselves. Again, this video is not about what we believe. This is about why we believe what we do and where those beliefs came from as a way to better understand ourselves. And so we're all on the same page here. Let's see how the internet defines what a belief system is. The internet defines it as a collection of principles, values, and ideologies that shape how individuals interpret and navigate the world around them. So my first question here would be, where does this collection of principles, values, and ideologies come from? For most of us, I feel it begins with our generational inheritance, which comes in the form of genetic imprints through our lineage and the frequency of our DNA. Belief system tendencies are as much passed through the bloodline as is trauma and the color of our eyes. And these beliefs are typically reinforced through the family dynamic after birth and inculcated not only through our education, but through a lot of overstimulation in the realm of social media, music, and entertainment. Also, the societal structure of the day, and of course, our personal life experiences, which I think are probably the most important. So, then why do we believe what we believe? Do we believe it because it's what everyone else believes and it's easier to go along, to get along? Do we believe it because it's always been done that way and we don't see a reason to do it differently? Do we believe what we believe because it's easier to let another tell us what to believe rather than to be personally responsible for determining that for ourselves? All good questions. And the reasons behind the why can be extensive and deeply personal. Yet I'm not here to answer any of these questions for you because I cannot. I can only answer them for myself. What I can do, however, is inspire you to explore your own belief system with the use of questions to determine whether or not what you believe is working for you, whether or not it's compatible with who you are today and not the child that you were, and whether or not it resonates with your experiences as you perceive them right now. Do you believe it anymore? Whatever it is, fill in the blank. I find that there's a myriad of sectors within society overall that are designed to exert heavy influences over our belief systems. And it appears much of this is for the purpose of creating division and separation amongst people, and not for the purpose of uniting people through tolerance and cooperation. And because everything on this planet is so polarized, which means opposite extremes, it's either one side or the other, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. It can make us feel like we need to pick a team. And of course, our team is always the winning team, right? Yet the team we feel compelled to pick will more often than not align with our family imprints. By way of example, let's talk religion and politics. And no, 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 don't worry. You won't need to pick a side here. Yet nothing is more family influenced than the categories of religion and politics. We might belong to a church or religious group that we were born or baptized into and think that's what I believe. Or we might belong to a particular political party and vote the way our family does and think that's what I believe. We might join the military because, well, the generations before us were all military men. We might go to a certain school because it was the alma mater of our predecessors. We might pick a favorite sports team because it's the family favorite. We might raise our children the way we were raised and think that's the only way. On and on this can go. So many layers here. And there's no right or wrong in any of it. Nothing to fix, except to ask yourself, do I believe it today? Do I still believe this now? In 2012, I had the privilege of working with my friend and fellow author Richard Andrew King on his book titled The Galactic Transcripts. And by the way, there is a link below for anyone who is curious. Now, I really loved this project because the book was a unique, true story about extraterrestrial contact, not a subject we deal with every day. So, as you would expect, the theme had a major influence on how I perceived the existence of life beyond this little geode we call Earth. Actually, this project was a major game changer for me in a number of ways. Not as much due to the galactic aspect, since I was already of the mindset that Homo sapiens sapien could in no way be the most advanced species in the galaxy given the state of the world as I saw it. It was a game changer because it made me question my beliefs connected to what I'd been taught, as opposed to what I was seeing happening around me and the global systems running it all. This is the part where I began going down the rabbit holes, as they say. And I spent more than a decade diving down these dark rabbit holes, trying to better understand the realm I was living in. I learned things I never thought I needed to know, and yes, it was a very emotional and bumpy ride, to say the very least. So, what was my takeaway from all of this? Well, there came a point early on when I felt that everything I'd ever been taught about my reality, everything I'd ever believed since the moment I opened my eyes as a newborn, was a lie. Everything. It truly rocked me to my core because everything I was about, my identity, what I stood for and thought I was doing right, was predicated on some kind of lie. I believed what the Matrix authority figures instilled in me growing up as truth. I trusted the lies. I based my life upon them. They were the foundation of my belief system. And now at this point, that foundation was fully shattered. Have you ever felt like that? And then I heard someone say, there's always a lie in the middle of the word believe. There is always a lie in believe. Check it out. Look at the spelling. There really is a lie in the middle. So, what do I believe in today? Honestly, I can't say I believe in anything anymore. In fact, it's a word I rarely use. Maybe because of the lie in the middle. I have a problem with the lie in the middle. Overall, it seems our language is a bit limiting. So sometimes the word believe has to be used because it's the only word available for use because a better word doesn't yet exist. And I do think our language is evolving, though, as we develop new concepts and a better understanding of sound frequencies in our words. But that's a subject for another day. Anyhow, my preference now is to perceive something, not believe something, but instead to have a perception, because a perception is fluid. It can change with new information, and I'm learning new things every day because I realized back in 2012 that it was in my best interest to begin re-educating myself, to become autodidactic, as they say, in order to restructure my perceptions of the world in which I live so that I could have a better life. You know what they say, change your perception, change your life. The first step, though, in my reconstruction, of course, was to question everything. I do ask a lot of questions, a lot of questions. Yeah, it's part of that need to know thing I have going on for sure. But I've learned it's good to have flexibility in my mindset, let go of my ego attachments, get them out of the way. This approach has allowed me to be agile and open-minded enough to overall to hold opposing points of view within me without having to pick a team. Some might call that seeing both sides of a coin, same coin, two sides, and everything in between. The ability to be neutral enough to hold multiple points of view does not mean, however, I have to align with any of them. Seeing other sides doesn't mean I've chosen a side. And that's really important. And I'm going to say it again. Seeing all sides does not mean I've aligned or chosen a side. It's merely an observation. There will usually come a point when I've gathered enough perspectives, enough information, that I feel able to internally integrate what resonates with me, come to an understanding that makes sense to me based on what I've learned. And like I said, my perceptions are always subject to change when new insight enters the field. And believe it or not, this approach has taken a lot of pressure off of me. The pressure to be perfect, the pressure to conform, the pressure to perform within the bounds of those beliefs that were no longer valid for me. It's allowed me to evolve and grow as an individual without the heavy judgments I once carried around, not knowing I was carrying them around. Now, as I wind down this video, I'd like to remind you that, like everything in our reality, beliefs are frequencies, and frequencies can be changed. It's never too late. There is always hope in change. And it's important for us too, at some point, to take responsibility for our belief systems by first getting to know what they are and why we even have them. Then we get to decide. We get to decide to keep the beliefs that resonate and work for us and discard or dump the ones that don't. Yeah, I get it. Easier said than done a lot of the time. I can vouch for this. And I can guarantee that doing this might ruffle some feathers in the family's ingrained belief system that are rooted in their generational inheritance. Patterns some of us are here to change. Now, I'd like to leave you with a thought provoking question. That question being, is there something you were taught to believe that is no longer congruent with who you are today? Please feel free to leave your comments below. I would love to hear your stories. So until next time, be well, choose love, and thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.